After grinding and obtaining the platinum for Danganronpa Reload, I was gonna start the spin-off Ultra Despair Girls. Suddenly I was thinking about wanting to challenge myself with harder games. I started searching, remembering that I could start Wolfenstein 2, or even this new game that I had recently bought, Railbreak. Browsing the PlayStation Store, a game that I had played back when I was a kid appeared. If you ever played those arcade machines as a kid, then you might remember games like Tekken, Marvel vs. Capcom, or Bubble Bobble. The one I played went by the name of Therumblefish. Therumblefish is an arcade fighting game, and to my surprise had been ported to the PS4. I bought the game the day after it was re-released, and to my surprise I saw that Therumblefish 2 was also for sale. I bought that one as well. Then I ran into an issue. Only one of these games had a platinum trophy, Therumblefish 2. I started wondering if I should go only for the platinum for the second game, but decided that the first game had to be completed as well. I was soon going to regret this decision though. Therumblefish Plus is the first game having a total of 12 trophies, and the second game a total of 24 trophies. With 36 trophies to unlock between two different games, let's begin the road to gold and platinum, Therumblefish Plus and Therumblefish 2.
We will now begin the FFS.
Therumblefish.
Welcome to the FFS.
てめえに用はない。一瞬だ。Round 1. Fight!
To start off, I had to complete the arcade mode with every single character. Therumblefish Plus has a total of 9 characters plus a hidden one, making for 10. Each character has their strengths and weaknesses, and going for each trophy was asking of me to understand the basics of each character. I of course had to learn to cheese some fights. For now, let's just focus on one character, Zen. As the main protagonist, he is easy to use and his overall stats are balanced. I wanted to practice taking a glance at his command list, seeing what combos I could pull off. The one that worked for me was square, X, circle, and triangle. Then if I had any offensive meter, then I would press R2 to do what's called an advanced attack. Another move I could do was an offensive art. In addition to that was the defensive meter. This is used to stop the opponent from continuing their combos. And for some characters, the defensive move was easy to pull off, but for others, I just ignored it due to the button input being something I just couldn't understand no matter how much I tried. Anyways, practicing a bit more, I was ready to start the arcade mode. This mode consisted of 7 fights and an 8th fight that, my god, is really difficult. More on this later. Starting off, going for 2 trophies, Diablo for completing the arcade mode with Zen, and Undefeated, completing the game without any continues. In the first fight, using what I had practiced, taking both rounds and winning. After winning the 4th fight, this scene plays. Consistently winning every match, but there was one fight that was going to be a pain in my ass. The 6th fight against Typhon.
Round 1. Fight!
For some unknown reason, the bot that fought against me would try its hardest to never let me land a hit on him. I learned this the hard way. Trying to land a hit on him, he would block and do a reverse. If he didn't do this, then something called impact break will happen. Impact break happens when I or an opponent counters, then they can extend that counter into a grab or a basic combo. When they do this, there is a high chance that when the enemy ends the basic combo, they will use an offensive art hitting me for even more damage. If you can guess, all these 3 scenarios I just listed happened to me. I was stuck on this fight for some time, and I started to notice something. There was a move that Typhon would do where he would move from one side of the map to the other, and this is where the cheese strat comes in. Every time he lands, there is a small window in which you will not be able to do anything, meaning you could hit him for a basic combo, back away, and wait until he does the same move again. Rinse and repeat. One thing to note is this strat doesn't work 100% of the time. Getting unlucky, he would impact break me, extending that into a combo that took half of my health. After winning the match against Typhon, moving on to the 7th fight was easy. Winning the 7th fight, I got the congratulations screen. Sure enough, one more fight, the hardest of the entire game.
FFS result.
Round 1. Fight!
The other fights were easy, even the fight against Typhon was tolerable, but this fight against Greed was gonna be tedious and very much annoying. To break down the fight, in the first round, Greed is tolerable. Although Greed hits hard, he will use red projectiles that are really easy to block or dodge. Another thing he will do is to impact break you immediately after he would block any hits I try to land on him. He will either advance attack into me for big damage or just grab me, throwing me to the ground. As I thought this was all the fight consisted of, I soon learned about phase 2. This phase can be triggered after winning the first round or by inflicting enough damage to him. I knew I was in the second phase as his hair changed color and he became hella broken. In the first phase, he has to build up his offensive meter and his defensive meter just like me. But in the second phase, all that is thrown out and he gets an infinite amount of both meters. Of course, meaning he could advance attack into me, use offensive arts, use his defensive meter, which is an overhead, as many times as he would like. Of course, the second phase was the hardest part of the first game for all characters. Yet again, here's where the cheese strat comes into play. In the first round, at the start of the match, I backed away from Greed as far as I could, making sure I had some good distance. When I did this, he would run towards me, running towards him and hitting him for a basic combo. If I had offensive meter, then I would advance attack into him, ending the combo by tripping him and backing away. This is the best case scenario. Greed wouldn't be a boss if he didn't have some infuriating moves to use. In the worst case scenario, when running to him, landing the first hit, he would immediately grab, throwing me to the ground. So this cheese strat is a 50-50. Luckily for me, it took some time practicing backing away and tripping him after the basic combos to finally win this fight. After losing a decent amount, I perfected the cheese strat, finally giving me the W against Greed. Since I did die multiple times, the trophy Undefeated didn't unlock, but for the trophy Diablo, it did.
You win!
Winner.
After winning, I got to see the character's ending and was sent back to the title screen. Then it hit me. I would have to do this another 9 times. I started to worry as I'm not that good at fighting games, and seeing how hard the final fight was, yeah. Sadly, there was no backing out since I had already unlocked the trophy, and I like to 100% any game I play, so I prepared myself to unlock the trophies for the remaining characters. I repeated the process I used for Zen. Some characters had different basic combo layouts. For example, Garnet, I used square, circle, and triangle into an advanced attack. Other characters, on the other hand, were just torture to play. Boyd, Orville, and especially Hikari were the reasons I wanted to walk away from this game. Not to mention the fact that this game doesn't even have a platinum. The only reason why I was doing this was for the completion. The character I hated the most is Orville. As for the life of me, I could not do a basic combo with him, nor could I use my cheese strats against Greed with him. The only redeeming quality about him is his super, which I believe reduces damage and his hits don't get interrupted. Overall, I think the reason I really didn't like him was because he just felt too slow to do anything. Also, when doing Orville's super, Greed can cancel the super if he just grabbed me. Imagine saving up half of an offensive meter only to lose it all because of a fucking throw. The only way I managed to win this stupid fight was to block and hit Greed with the lower uppercut, using the super to continually hit him with the same move and chip away at his health. I soon ended up winning both rounds. Now I have a small compilation of unlocking every character's trophy. After unlocking all those trophies, I had only 3 trophies remaining: Unquenchable Thirst, Undefeated, and the Fight for Survival. For Unquenchable Thirst, I had to complete arcade mode with Greed. Greed is the hidden character that you can play as by inputting a certain command. It goes like this. While on the character select screen on your D-pad, while hovering over Orville, press right 2 times, Typhon left 1 time, Boyd left 3 times, move up to Zen, and press right 2 times, finally press up. Doing this correctly, Greed will become a playable character. Greed was really easy to use, and when getting to the final fight, I won unlocking the trophy Unquenchable Thirst. To my surprise, I had unlocked another trophy I had completely forgotten about, Undefeated, for completing the game with no continues. The final trophy to unlock was Fight for Survival. This trophy unlocks by playing a versus match. I went over to the versus mode to see if I could find a fight. After sitting there searching for a fight, I started to worry as I thought this trophy was going to be unobtainable, since this was an online match. I backed out and realized I could do local 2 players. Using a second controller, I went into the match, finally popping the trophy at 100% in the game.
Kina. Round 1. Fight!
Finished with the game, let's now move on to Therumblefish 2.
You lose.
Winner. Therumblefish 2.
Therumblefish 2, being a sequel to the first game, has some new additions. The second game expands the roster of the previous game with some new faces, newcomers being Lud, Mito, Bazu, and Cheryl. There are 3 additional characters, but this sucks as you have to pay to unlock them. These 3 are Greed, returning from the last game, and 2 additional newcomers, Hazama and Beatrice. If you're wondering as to why I'm mentioning all this, it's because like the last game, I also have to use every character in arcade mode and complete it to unlock that specific character's trophy. Small note, the 3 characters you need to pay to unlock don't have trophies attached to them. The roster from 10 increases now to 13. With all that being said, let's get into the game that has the platinum this time around, Therumblefish 2.
Welcome to the 6th FFS.
Just like the first game, the plan this time around remained the same, picking Zen, going into training, and practicing for a bit. Since I was coming off finishing from the first game, it was easier for me to do combos as my fingers were faster. The basic combo remains the same as the first game, square, X, circle, and triangle. I used the advanced attack, and this time I could pull off the offensive art at a higher percentage. One more thing I forgot to say in the last part, one feature the first game had was when your offensive meter was full, you could do a move that would keep the opponent frozen in place, making it easier to pull off combos. That feature is now gone in the second game, as when you have one offensive meter, you now instead hit them, launching the enemy into the air, and as they fall down slowly back down to the ground, then combo into that. Finally, one more new addition to gameplay is Boost Dive. This uses one offensive and defensive meter. I believe it slows down the opponents, also depending on the character it either enhances or grants new abilities. Now that I brought those 2 new additions to the gameplay, I'm here to say I didn't really use them at all. Did I just waste time? Yes. Worth it? No. What was the point? Not sure, but let's move on. Getting back to Zen, I was ready and started by going into the arcade mode. This time around, all the fights were pretty much easy. After winning the 4th match, the following scene plays. Returning to the fights, the roadblock that was Typhon from the last game is really easy to fight against. After the 7th fight, I got a congratulations screen.
どんな卑怯な手を使っても構わん。飾らず全力で来い。
Final round. Fight.
This time around, the 8th fight was up against Beatrice. To sum up her moveset, she is a zoner. Her moveset is really annoying as she uses ground projectiles that will take up almost all of the screen. She will chip away at your health like there is no tomorrow. Here's an example. If you try to hit her, she will impact break you. When this happens, say your goodbyes to winning, because my god does she hit like a truck when she lands her attacks. Thankfully with Zen, she was not that much of a problem as I could rush her, landing some clean hits. I lost many rounds, but in the end, it paid off. Finally finishing the first character and unlocking the trophy Zen. Additionally, I unlocked the trophy Beatrice. This trophy unlocked for winning against her in the arcade mode. After watching Zen's ending, if you pay close attention, you'll notice someone on the game over screen.
Game over. Thank you for your participation.
I feel like this grind wasn't going to be that hard like the first game. Boy, was I going to take those words back soon. Focusing on other characters, they were easy to use like Zen. The first 7 fights, mostly all the characters were okay. I did lose some rounds, but it wasn't to the point where I was spending hours of the day stuck on one fight, except for when I got to the 8th fight. After winning with Zen, rushing Beatrice, I tried to do the same with the other characters to no success. I was losing badly, not even being able to take a single round. It took me some time before I could think of a way to counter her moveset. Luckily, I eventually did. I noticed that when Beatrice would use her projectile move, that was going to be the best time to strike. When she was in the animation before launching her projectile, I would jump over it. This is where I have to thank my quick fingers. I had to trip her as she fell, then hit her with the lower uppercut, then she would hit the ground, and I'll hit her again for a little damage with the lower kick, backing away and waiting for her to do the same move again. Rinse and repeat. Yes, this strat is straight cheese and it boils down to chipping away at her health and running away. Oh well. Moving on, I repeated this strat for all the characters. I did a lot, but was unlocking the character trophies at a steady pace. This progression would soon come to a halt, as one character would be an enormous pain in my ass. Again, like in the first game, Orville would be my worst nightmare, going for the specific trophy. Although one thing I can appreciate is the character does work differently in this game compared to the first game. Some of his moves from the last game return, but new additions to his set make him feel new. That's about the extent of positive things that I can say about Orville. So now getting to the boss fight against Beatrice, he straight out sucks. Maybe it's just me, but I'll continue to blame Orville. I was losing so much, never even as much as taking a single round. To prove this, I streamed on the 30th on the PAV channel. The stream lasted almost 3 hours. The whole stream consisted of one thing: Orville's trophy. 3 hours long, losing over and over again. I was getting heated because I didn't want to give up. I was locked in and trying to get this trophy. I was trying to figure out what was the best way to chip away at Beatrice's health, but nothing seemed to work. Surprisingly, I did start to win some rounds, but still lost in the end, because I could not for the life of me figure out a solid way to take down Beatrice. As the minutes turned to hours, I realized I wouldn't be able to obtain it the way I was playing. It hurt me to even do this, but I quit the match. 3 hours for one match that I didn't even win. It hurt me. I went to sleep already regretting what I had done. The next day I came around and I got the trophy in my first round. Yeah, I'm not even sure how I did this, but I got it in the first attempt. Maybe it's because I was more calm. It could also be due to me getting the cheese strat down for Orville. For this, it was the same as the rest of the other characters. Jump right as Beatrice is about to use her projectile move. I learned to jump a bit after she used the move. If I missed the timing, then I would be hit. Not too early nor too late. The window was small, but in the end, I barely managed to take both rounds. I was screaming loud as hell, finally unlocking the trophy for Orville. After this, I had some miscellaneous trophies to obtain. The first 2 trophies I went after were Greed and Hazama. For the trophy Greed, I would need to fight against him in arcade mode. Hazama's trophy would unlock after I went against him in arcade mode as well. These 2 characters are hidden bosses, and in order to fight against them, I would need to meet certain conditions to trigger their fights. For Greed, I would need the first 3 matches to end with an offensive arts finish. In order to trigger Hazama's boss fight, I would need rounds 5 through 7 to end with an offensive arts finish as well. I got started by using Zen, as its offensive art was easy for me to pull off. Side note, I had to look up a video on how to trigger the fights, and in the video I saw the person who was explaining having the rounds per fight set to 1. Seeing this, I had to make the process not take too long, so I reduced the rounds per fight from 2 to 1. I ran into some issues, as the opponents right as I was about to win were blocking, meaning I had no choice but to end the round and quit, starting all over from round 1. This happened a couple of times, really annoying, but nothing I can really do. I eventually did win rounds with the conditions set. I was shocked as the hidden boss fight against Greed didn't trigger. One thing I forgot to mention was that the Hazama boss fight won't trigger unless you trigger Greed's fight first and win. I tried it again, to no luck, the fights were not triggered, and that got me thinking, were the conditions really hard to pull off? Then I realized when you pull off an offensive art finish, it'll be shown on screen as an OA finish. I put this theory to test to see if winning the round would cause an OA finish prompt to show up. It did not. Realizing that Zen couldn't help me out, I moved on to my favorite character and best character, Kaya. In the first and second game, Kaya has always been the best. In addition, her offensive art was really easy to pull off. Starting the run again, I finished the first round with an OA finish, and this time the prompt did pop up, easily winning the rounds and making my way through each fight. I eventually got to the end of the third fight. I was anxious to see if this time around the fight would trigger. It did.
Next fighter, Aaron. Next fighter, 3. Battle location, Iron Mill.
Yaruka.
Final round.
Finally getting into the fight, the trophy popped. The only thing to worry about in this run is to fight Hazama. Before we move on from the Greed fight, if you lose the match against him, you don't get a retry. That's it. You instead face off the original 4th fighter on the ladder. If you want to fight against Greed, you need to restart meeting the conditions all over again. After winning the fight against Greed, I then had to get OA finishes from fights 5 through 7. Meeting the conditions on the congratulations screen just before fighting Beatrice, you'll enter the match against Hazama.
なたに恨みはありませんが、覚悟してください。
よろしければ始めるといたしましょう。
Final round! Fight!
This time, if you lose to Hazama, you get an infinite amount of retries. Losing the first game, I tried again, winning the match, popping the trophy, Hazama. Winning the match against Beatrice, these 2 trophies were done. The next 2 trophies were for completing 2 different game modes, Time Attack and Survival. For the Time Attack mode, I would need to complete the mode in under 10 minutes. Survival would need me to win 10 matches. I started this time using Kaya. I was making good progress as it was 1 round per match. Then a problem showed up. Greed is one of the opponents in the ladder of this game mode. For some reason, he was really hard to beat. He took the round and then I thought to myself that I would retry, then win him. This didn't happen as when you lose 1 match in Time Attack, you have to start all over again. Not only did I have to look out for the timer, but also couldn't afford to lose 1 fight. To pile on, there are 16 matches in Time Attack mode. I tried my best and won against Greed. One more roadblock I forgot to mention was Aran. He is the one you go up against before fighting Greed. He was really hard to beat and sometimes I would lose badly against him, retrying again and again. I started to wonder why the difficulty went up by so much. Thinking about why, I checked my settings to see if I would find something. I had forgotten that the day before I was attempting to go for another trophy that required me to play on the hardest difficulty. Idiot me just forgot to change it back, so I lowered the difficulty back down to normal. Going back into Time Attack, attempting a new run and getting the trophy that same run, the fastest fish. Hopping over to Survival, this game mode was much easier for me, only losing a handful of times. Just like Time Attack, when losing a round in Survival, I would need to restart from the first match. This trophy confused me because I thought the trophy would pop after I won the 10th match. I won the 10th match, but the trophy didn't pop, and I thought I had to keep going. I was fighting Hazama, then lost the match. In the after match screen, the trophy Survivor popped. Onto the remaining trophies, these next 2 were really easy, the Therumblefish and Training Session. The Therumblefish unlocks after watching the small movie in the gallery. And Training Session is unlocked by training for over 10 minutes. Being so close to obtaining the platinum, the remaining trophies are the Strongest Fish and 2 players enter, 1 player leaves. The Strongest Fish is unlocked by beating the game on its hardest difficulty, Lunatic. Being good at the game made this challenge somewhat easy. I got this on my first run even though I did lose the final fight 2 times.
You lose!
The final trophy, 2 players enter, 1 player leaves, required me to play a versus match. Like the first game, there were no online games available, so I entered local 2 players. I was gonna do the same thing like the last game and connect one of my controllers. Luckily, one of the homies came through. I share played with him and the trophy popped. Alongside this trophy popping, the platinum, the Therumblefish 2, had been obtained.
あなたに恨みはありませんが、覚悟してください。
かかってきな。
Round 1! Fight!
Finally, done with this platinum. This was not an easy platinum for me because I'm not really huge on fighting games. It is good to finally play a game that I've played in the past, and while some aspects of the game are really frustrating and annoying, for the most part, the platinum was really enjoyable. At the moment, I'm not too sure what the next platinum will be. Maybe I'll finally get around to Danganronpa UDG or even Wolfenstein 2. Who knows? Anyways, if you're still watching this far into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the other channel for shit posts, videos with the homies, and live streams. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed and thank you for watching this road to gold and platinum, the Therumblefish Plus and the Therumblefish 2.